Hello, today is July 14th, 2020, and we have now began our traffic committee regular meeting. The meeting start time is at 3 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. We'll go around and do introductions of the committee members and if you're a voting member or not.
Jana Robbins, West Covina Traffic Department, voting member.
Melissa Demirci with the Traffic Department, and I'm facilitating the meeting.
Michael Ackerman, West Covina City Engineer, voting member.
Sergeant Brian Daniels, West Covina Police Department, voting member.
Officer Robert Nyquist, Traffic Division, voting member.
And with that, I'll go ahead and begin and move on to item 2, which is a recap of the previous traffic committee items that were approved at the June 9th, 2020 traffic committee meeting. This item is going to City Council on the 21st of July, and this was the review of the signalized intersection of Lark Ellen and Badillo Street regarding the LA County funding, grant funding to take a look and synchronize the segments. The traffic committee voted to recommend the coordination of LA County if funding becomes available. I'm going to move on to now item 3, which is the new traffic committee items. The first item that we have before you is item 3A, and this is the intersection review for the signalized intersection of Cameron Avenue and Orange Avenue. Back in February, the city received a request from the West Covina Medical Center to improve existing conditions for the intersection of Cameron Avenue and Orange Avenue. And they indicated that there was a problem when employees were crossing Cameron Avenue at the intersection and Cameron and Orange. The staff member that requested this stated that there was an accident that occurred, and they wanted us to take a look at what we could do at that area. So we did do our typical traffic engineering review of existing conditions. We did a collision investigation using SWITTers, and we concluded that in total there were 6 accidents that occurred between January 2016 to available data up to 2019.
And then I'm just going to interject that after the report was completed, we did get 3 more accidents at this location. One was involving a pedestrian crossing from the medical center to their employee lot. And the other one was a car on Orange making a U-turn. And the third one was a car on Orange making a left turn, and they got hit by a through-moving vehicle.
Which brings our collision total to 9
Yes.
accidents. And after taking a look at it, we analyzed different interval segments that are possible. And what we're recommending is to do a phased approach for the improvements. And I'll allow Janet to go over what those phased approaches are and what our recommendations are at this time.
Okay, at this time, we're recommending a phased approach due to funding constraints. So ultimately, we would like to have left turn phasing at this intersection, but we need to wait until the city has funds available or have scheduled for funds in the future for this. But in the meantime, what we can do is we've noticed that on Orange Avenue, there is no left turn striped pocket. So what's happening is the eastbound and westbound cars, they're confused because in the center lane, they can either make a left or a through. So in some cases, if we stripe a left turn lane, then anyone sitting in the inside lane, they will know they're making a left turn. So they will be able to wait for the left turn and not assume that a car is coming through. So we're going to reduce some of the broadside accidents. And then also we would stripe the sign, the lane directional sign, so everyone knows that it's a left turn and then a shared through and a right turn lane. And then we would also post the turning vehicle yield to pedestrians, because it seems that one of the main issues is that pedestrians are crossing from the actual medical center to the employee lot, which is across the street on the northwest corner. So some of the near misses and accidents are from pedestrians. Cars coming westbound on Orange, they're coming off the 10 freeway and they're in a hurry, they're not looking, they're looking at the approaching vehicles instead of pedestrians that may be in the crosswalk. So we're going to add that sign that says turning vehicles yield to pedestrian. So on the westbound we would have for the right turn, and then on the mast arm for the left turning vehicles, we want to make sure that they are recognizing that pedestrians are crossing, that they need to also watch for pedestrians and not just the opposing traffic. And so those are items that we can hopefully get done quicker when we have maybe our pavement rehab projects going in. And then eventually we would like to have left turn phasing for all the directions. But because this is an older signal location, we would have to update the mast arms and the signal poles. So it's expensive to do that. So we want to make sure that we're trying to address safety concerns within our budgeted constraints. And that's it.
Thank you, Jana. And with that, I'm going to open it up to any comments from the audience on the item. And for the record, there are no audience members present at this meeting currently. And I will move on to comments from committee members on this item.
No comment?
No comment.
Comment.
And with that, we'll go into a motion to approve the recommended item to City Council for final approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So this item will go before City Council for final approval of the recommendations listed. With that, I'm going to move on to our next item, and that's item B, which is a line of sight review for the intersection of Garvey Avenue and Baymore Avenue. A resident contacted the city in terms of there was some line of sight issues at the curve, and to review that line of sight at the intersection of Garvey and Baymore, with vehicles are parking in the curb return are blocking the line of sight. We did do our typical traffic investigation of existing conditions, as well as did a line of sight analysis. And what we're recommending is and determined that to actually paint the curb return red. There are already existing red curb approaching the curb return, but the curb return itself was not painted red. So we're just going to close that gap. It's approximately 32 feet of red curb that we are recommending to paint, and this should address a lot of the line of sight issues that was brought up to our attention. And again, with that, I will open it up to audience members. And for the record, there are no audience members present for this item. And I will open it up to committee members if they have any questions.
No questions.
All right. All in favor for the recommended 32 feet of red curb on the curb return, please say aye.
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 All opposed? This item unanimously passes and will be put forth for City Council for final approval of 32 feet of red curb. Now, the final item we have is we just wanted to provide it on the agenda, but really give you an update. There is no actionable motion. This is for a line of sight of the parking lot at Workman Avenue Elementary School. With the school closures happening right now, there is still some coordination that's taking place with the school to really assess what their exact needs are in terms of if they're okay with certain curbs and painting. So we will be bringing this to you hopefully in the next meeting with a final recommendation with the school's concurrence.
Yes.
I will move on to item 4, which is audience comments on items not on the agenda. And for the record, there are no audience members here. Item 5, committee member comments on items not on the agenda. No committee member items. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.